TH will call it PP. I'm sure that's what Mark wants to call it. He receives an 8.8. It's good enough to keep his lead over Distefano. We'll be back in a moment. Colorado, this is our 4th show of 11 shows here on ESPN, and after one rotation, Sheryl Dundas leads Jennifer Hagberg by a .075 margin. On the men's side, 2 rotations have been completed. Mark Warburton is leader by a .5 margin over Drew Distefano. And right now we are going to the steel rings event. This is the 3rd event for the men, and Mark Warburton is up first.
Mark lists the rings as one of his best events. As I mentioned earlier, he's been having trouble with an ankle, so his floor and vaulting, the tumbling type events, aren't that strong. But you can see he's very strong in the upper body. As he opened that routine with a kip to an L cross, he kips back to an L, and a beautiful straddle flange, giant to a handstand. See, he has good locked out arms on the handstands. A really nice combination of piked double whippets, or Yamawakis, as they were invented by Yamawaki from the Japanese team.
Now he's swinging. Is that going to hurt him?
Yeah. For every full swing, the judges take a 1/10 of a point, but his challenge is to not allow the swinging elements to throw him off, because if you bail from the handstand at the wrong time, you could really be in a lot of trouble. Although the swings are minor deductions, you can't let them turn into major deductions. Watch this combination. He stays in the pike position. One Yamawaki to the next. Pretty silly names, aren't they? Back uprise to a straddle L. Really good swing elements. He showed good strength elements at the beginning, something the judges are looking for. And an excellent layout double back with one short hop.
His score is 9.60. Nice layout.
Great exercise. He has everything. He's got the strength, the swing, and a good dismount.
His advantage going in was 0.5, 9.60. His 3rd score of this U.S. Challenge round. Now Drew Distefano is up.
Lifting him up to the rings is Ed Birch, who coaches in Albuquerque. Also coaches the current star of the U.S. team, Lance Ringnold. No trouble on that flange. He's a little nervous. It seems like he could settle down a little bit and focus on the positions. He seems to be rushing it a little bit. Is he too fast on the press to handstand? He needs to take his time and show the judges that he's in control. He's a little anxious. He's very quick, and I'm sure he has that very high-spirited performance, which many times is very impressive. But when you get to the slow parts, you have to squeeze out the positions and show the judges that you're completely in control at all times, and he had trouble there. He bails out forward, does a Yamawaki, as we've seen Warburton just do, but he did it in a tuck position, and it didn't have the long flowing swing that Warburton used. This is the dismount, laid out double, a little sloppy in the air, but plenty of rotation.
Well, that's what I like about this U.S. Challenge format. We can see 2 gymnasts head-to-head. Now there's a score for Drew Distefano, 8.95. And even if you know nothing about gymnastics, you can simply compare in your living room what these 2 gymnasts are doing and who actually is the better gymnast. Continuing now with the women as they move over to their 2nd event. The uneven parallel bars are next. Jennifer Hagberg is up first.
Cast the handstand. She changes grip. That move's called a Jaeger. It's a straddle front flip. She traverses to the lower bar. She has to work both bars. The judges are looking for changes of direction. She's shown that by doing pirouettes. There's a reverse. Oh! That was a reverse X. She was going for her 2nd release move, which is really the style these days. 1 release move isn't enough anymore. You have to show 2 big release moves if you want the big scores.
You'll recall she received a 9.475 on the vault. Her opponent received a 9.55, so she's already down 0.075, and the last thing she needed was a fall on the unevens.
Keep in mind, she'll lose a half a point, and then she has to pick up the exercise from where she left off with a very nice pike double dismount. It's a shame she had trouble on the reverse hex, because that was a good routine. She had a lot going there. This is the Jaeger. You can see she's going forward with an under grip, straddled front flip right there to a regrasp. Nicely done, and she traverses to the lower bar, glide kip, and she continues on. Now, she had trouble here. This is the reverse hecht. Everything looks pretty good. She pulls it just too far over the bar. So you can see she's way out on her fingertips, and she didn't quite get the reverse rotation back to allow her hands to catch back onto the bar. It's a very difficult move. She just about had it. She finished, of course, with a very nice pike double back.
That's too bad, because the reverse hecht actually looked pretty good up until it came time to regrasp.
Technically, it was good. The form in the air was good. It was just a little overdone.
8.975 is the score for Jennifer for that uneven parallel bar performance. And now Sheryl Dundas is up. On the vault, she received a 9.55.
Straddle over to the high bar. Cast a handstand. Giant half. She had a little trouble there, but she kept it going right to a reverse hack. Now that's the move that we just saw her competitor, Hagberg, have trouble with, but she made it nicely. Back to handstand. Giant swing. Giant swing. Two very nice giants. And a tuck double back.
That was a nice, clean routine by Sheryl Dundas, the 16-year-old, born in Denver, Colorado, but currently residing in Austin, Texas.
She did the giant half-half. It was supposed to be a full turn in one motion, but she continued right through to a reverse hecht, so she used two important and difficult moves back-to-back, and the judges are looking for those things. They can value raise the score if you do two difficult moves back-to-back.
Well, all she needed was an 8.95, and she got a lot more than that from the judges. 9.675 is the number granted to Sheryl Dundas for her performance in the uneven parallel bars. She is now way out in front of Jennifer Hagberg. U.S. Challenge, Mark Warburton is ahead of Drew Distefano, 27.65 to 26.50. On the women's side, Sheryl Dundas is ahead of Jennifer Hagberg, 19.225 to 18.450, a difference of 0.775. The women have now moved to their third event, which is the balance beam. The men will vault. Now, this is the event that makes or breaks a lot of gymnasts. You don't really get a chance to relax, because just standing there, the opportunity to fall off exists. Sheryl Dundas is up first.
Oh, that's a very pretty mount. A round off onto the board and a one-handed back handspring on, right to a serious back handspring layout. Beautiful start. She says this is her favorite event, and you can see why. She is excellent here. Very pretty switch leg split leap. Beautiful full turn. Look at the flexibility.
Needle scales are always associated with women's gymnastics. Again, showing her flexibility.
And strength. How about that? She planges down that handstand. Notice how she just takes her time and she looks for every position. She fulfills requirements like that, a series of gymnastic elements or leaps. Swing through layout right on, right to a split leap. That's a mixed series that the judges are looking for. Acro and gymnastic elements back to back. Back handspring, and a double flip. Excellent routine for Sheryl Dundas.
A beautiful routine. Well, the balance beam certainly didn't break her.
Although she didn't really have a dynamic, explosive dismount, the back handsprings to the double full were fine. But the best part of the exercise was right here. That one-handed back handspring on was so pretty and so elegant. She got ready for the dismount. Back handspring, step into a double full. She isn't quite as high as you see some of the gymnasts who perform the tuck double backs, but she handled it beautifully and nailed the landing.
And got a beautiful score, 9.825. And that ties a meet record. Brandy Johnson also received a 9.825 in show number 1 of the balance beam. So now she has been tied in the record department with Sheryl Dundas. Now Jennifer Hagberg hopes she has the same luck on the balance beam.
Well, she did a similar mount, a round off and a back handspring on. This time she used 2 hands. In comparison with Sheryl, who used just a one-handed back handspring, flip-flop layout, and she fights it. So far, they've begun with similar acrobatic elements. There's a series of leaps. She sets up there for a layout. She overdoes that. She's really powerful. Most people just barely make those. She just blasted over the top and made it easily. Very pretty leap. And stag handstand down to a plunge. The judges need to see the gymnast working not only high above the beam, but also right down on the beam. There's her full turn. Whoa. Cartwheel, she had a little trouble on that cartwheel, and that's one of those simple elements that can get you every time. You can't give away points on the easy elements because you want to do your best to keep the exercise perfect, and if there's any room for errors, they're only on the most difficult elements. There's a dismount. Round off double full. Oh!
Landed on her heels.
I don't know what happened there. It didn't look like she got a really good push off the beam when she punched, and that caused her to over-rotate. She laid it back a little too much. Let's see if we can see what happened. She does a round off. She really dumps it back, and she doesn't get quite the block and the push that she needed. And, of course, that caused the over-rotation. Once again, you can see here.
She's crooked already coming off the beam, so
Yep.
she didn't get a good direct push off.
Twisted a little early and laid it back. This is a good part of the routine, though. She does round off, back handspring right on, and then she followed it up. Although she had to fight it, she followed it up with a nice series of back handspring to a layout.
What makes it exceptionally difficult is that Sheryl Dundas tied a meet record with a 9.825 on the balance beam. So now Jennifer Hagberg, who's already .775 behind her, receives a score of 8.80 for that beam routine, and now is more than a point behind Sheryl Dundas. The men are ready to vault. Drew Distefano will vault first. In men's competition, only 1 vault is allowed. It's do or die time.
And it is University of Nebraska and Gold Cup Gymnastics, their 2 clubs.
1.15 separates Drew from Mark.
Sometimes I wish the guys could get 2 vaults because
I think they should. It's been a long time since they've had the opportunity to warm up.
So layout Tsukahara, 1 short hop on the landing. Pretty nice vault. See, but like the girls, when they do 2 vaults, they get to go do that 1 more time and hopefully stick the second one. Of course, I have to admit, the older I got, the more the ankles hurt, and 1 vault was plenty. So.
Although, interestingly enough, a lot of the vaults that we've seen today was the first vault that counted in the scores.
That's true, and I really feel that if you really just fire up and just give your best effort on the first one, perhaps the girls relax a little on the first one, knowing that they got 1 more to go.
I think it's a mental game, yes, knowing you've got a chance to make up for it. 9.15, the vaulting score for Drew.
We now move over to Drew's rival in this
Mark
bracket.
Warburton, he too will execute just 1 vault.
We saw him have trouble on his punching on the floor exercise. I expect he'll have trouble here as well because he's not fully recuperated from that ankle injury. Let's see what he does. Okay, a little trouble on the landing. And I'm sure that stung on that landing, but he did a laid-out Sukahara.
He's holding his
He's
back.
grabbing his back.